Security and Development Forum ends in Egypt, with President Buhari and Abdel Fattah el-Sisi agreeing to collaborate in the fight against terrorism in Africa, and federal government to involve local communities in driving tourism to greater heights. A good morning to you and welcome to Panorama on the network service of the NTA. I am Lydia Odije Ochi. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon. The federal government says it is committed to respecting the sanctity of the rule of law, protecting the virtues of human rights, and ensuring speedy dispensation of justice. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, stated this in Abuja. He said as part of deliberate efforts to probe emerging issues relating to the recent imbroglio regarding Omoyele Showere's case and for speedy dispensation of justice, the ministry has requested that the case file be forwarded to it. Malami also directed the immediate takeover of the prosecution of all charges in respect of Omoyele Showere by the Federal Ministry of Justice in line with the law of the land. The Aswan Forum on Sustainable Peace, Security and Development in Africa has ended with a resolve by participants comprising African leaders and other stakeholders to ensure that the continent assumes ownership of its peace and development agenda. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports on the Aswan Peace and Development report issued at the end of the forum.
After a two-day brainstorming session by participants, the Aswan Forum, with the theme Peace, Progress and Prosperity, concludes that the existing policy and normative frameworks at the disposal of Africa are adequate towards making the desired paradigm shift. The Aswan Peace and Development Report, however, expressed fears regarding the operationalization of such frameworks, saying for Africa's promising transformative trends to be fully realized, far-reaching measures must be urgently considered and effected. These include conflict prevention, strengthening peace support operations, women empowerment, addressing forced displacement, post-terrorism governance, as well as post-conflict reconstruction and development. The African Union Chairman and President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who convened the forum, expressed satisfaction with the outcome.
I am really sure and certain that our African continent, beloved African continent, is more than capable to address the challenges in order to achieve stability, peace for our nations, and reinforce the pillars of sustainable development.
Some members of the Nigerian delegation speak on their takeaways from the thought-provoking Aswan Forum.
What came out clearly is that all Africans must look inwards to solve their problems. They must understand that if there is no good governance, if there's no good leadership, if you do not provide infrastructure, if you do not provide amenities, you do not invest in your countries and in your communities, these are things that could lead to conflicts. The cost of conflicts and wars in Africa is put at about $2.3 trillion annually. That amount of money, if we had it and was invested in communities, in societies, could prevent conflicts and finance development.
I think there is an obvious commitment on the part of all the participants that there is a need for us to do a lot more in the areas of governance, and I mean good governance, because they are, if you like, the best antidote to ensure that we have stability and that we have peace. Sustainable peace and development. And of course the issue of gender, that there is a need for us to also carry our women and the youth along in finding solutions to some of these problems.
The Aswan Forum, which sees the ongoing reform efforts at the African Union as a unique opportunity to take forward Africa's partnership to a new level, however, believes that effective collaboration between the African Union and the United Nations in peace, security and development is indispensable. From Aswan, Egypt, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Our next report from Japan says Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the federal government is involving local communities in driving the tourism sector through the establishment of community museums. The minister announced this at the ministerial high-level segment of the ongoing 4th UNWTO UNESCO World Conference on Tourism and Culture holding in Kyoto, Japan. Anthony Forsin reports.
In terms of marrying tourism with culture and involving the local community. So I wonder if you could give me an example.
Advancing reasons for the federal government's decision to take tourism to the local communities, Lai Mohammed said it is the only way the rightful owners of the arts and crafts on display at museums in the cities can translate to economic gains to the rightful owners using the Berlin Notes experience, as is the case in Nigeria.
When tourists come, they stay in Lagos, they stay in Abuja, they stay in Kano. And it is the economy of Lagos, Abuja and Kano that actually benefit from the tourist spending. So what the government did was to try and shift the focus. And this time around, we encourage palace and community museums so that tourists can go to the nooks and corners of Nigeria and actually savor the monuments, savor the artifacts, savor our cuisine, savor our cultural tourism, and the money spent there remains in the community. This is how we are trying to balance, and ensure that the money that is spent by tourists actually is retained in the community.
With some palaces already turned into museums in parts of Nigeria, the minister said museums will not be limited to the cities, as Lamido of Adamawa, the Emir of Potiskum, and the Oni of Ife have set the pace.
We are encouraging palaces and the residences of important chiefs to also have their own museums and get people invited there.
Other members of the panel with Nigeria's Minister of Information and Culture were from Cambodia, Croatia, Czech Republic, Ghana, Greece, Guinea, and Japan. And as it was made clear by Lai Mohammed, they equally highlighted the different approaches their various governments have taken to safeguard and promote cultural expressions and support for the development of new and sustainable tourism. From Kyoto, Japan, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And back home, 3,000 Nigerians are to be lifted out of poverty through the interventions of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports that the first phase of the empowerment program has commenced in the nation's capital, Abuja.
About 90 million people live in extreme poverty in Nigeria, World Data Lab's Poverty Clock reveals. This rating has brought about agricultural revolution and other interventions from government and non-government bodies. The latest is the engagement of youths on skill acquisition like making shoes, bags and beads, among others. The new Partnership for Africa's Development wants youths to be meaningfully engaged as measures to reduce poverty and ease the attendant security concerns.
I can see the zeal, the interest that the people pick in doing it. In fact, even the people that interested in learning my shoe and bag making today, I'm surprised.
That if you really learn it, if you invest in it, it can be a very big opportunity for you to survive.
Majority of the people here are youths, others are women. Together they constitute important segment of the society that are capable of moving the society forward if they have the means of livelihood.
This gesture will be extended to 36 states of the Federation in due course. In Abuja, Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
Some vulnerable people within and around Abuja, the nation's capital, smiled home with gifts from an event put together by leadership of the All Progressives Congress women leaders in the country. Salihu Abdullahi reports that key players say the event portrays an act of kindness to humanity, calling for its sustenance as a right step in giving back to the society.
10-year-old John Bojira from the City of Refuge Orphanage in Abuja is among the orphans that receive donations of food items and clothing. Other groups of people that made the list of beneficiaries are widows and the physically challenged.
And I want to thank the organizers of this program for bringing everybody here and for the kindness.
We don't pray to be widow, but once you come, anybody that's a member widow, may Almighty God bless them.
We rather advise well-meaning Nigerians to come to the aid of the orphans and vulnerable children in the society.
Making life meaningful to the less privileged with positive impact within the communities, stakeholders here say is the responsibility of all, particularly the privileged ones.
Like the orphans, they don't have father and mother. We should try and put smiles on their faces. We must leave a legacy for our generation coming after us. The government cannot do everything alone.
The provision of basic amenities such as food and shelter is essential for human survival. At the moment, John and other beneficiaries are living here in possession of food items that will meet their immediate needs, while hoping for a similar gesture that will put smiles on the faces of the needy. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The United Arab Emirates and Nigeria are strategizing ways of reintroducing species of animals that are likely to go into extinction. At a meeting at the National Park, Abuja, plans were made on ways of preserving endangered species in Nigerian parks. Oyinayaka Loka was there.
Nigeria has 7 national parks covering an area of 22,000 square kilometers. These parks, which serve to preserve, enhance, protect and manage vegetation and wild animals, are witnessing degeneration and likely extinction of some animal species. The visit by the United Arab Emirates ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Fahad Tafiq, to the national park, the administrative headquarters of all parks in Nigeria, was described as a turning point that will reposition the country's parks, with plans to replicate what UAE did in Chad Republic by reintroducing extinct antelopes as projected in the video clip. The visit is expected to open up a vista of hope to the Nigerians' wildlife.
I hope that by the end of the day we can identify various areas of collaboration between us, which I think is tremendous, in line with the preservation of the wildlife and operating the national parks and understanding the diversity, of course, of the nature, the wildlife in Nigeria.
The call to save the endangered species of gorillas, chimpanzees and vultures was made by the Conservator General of the National Park, Ibrahim Goni, who stated that Nigeria has only 43 lions in these parks.
These animals are on the first schedule of the CITES endangered list, meaning that their population has reached a level of concern that if proper attention is not given to them, the animals are likely to go into extinction.
The meeting is expected to establish a robust wildlife system in Nigeria. Oyinaya Kalu Oka, NTA News.
The federal government is stepping up the drive not only to diversify the nation's economy, but also now considers digitization an important additional component. Justin Bem-Unyi reports that issues of viability, practicability, and prospects of an ICT-driven economy formed the core of deliberations at the opening of a summit in Abuja, which focuses on leveraging ICT for public service delivery.
I think I like these socks, like these women's sneakers.
Whether you're buying or selling, life can literally be made easier at the click of a button. These days, you can sit in the comfort of your home to make bookings for transport or maybe order for food, groceries or clothing to be delivered right at your doorstep just by clicking some buttons on that same phone in your palms. If and when you do that, then you are already in the digital economy. Business and ICT experts believe there are widely untapped opportunities for Nigerians to explore for gainful ventures, especially the youth. The government is hoping that by facilitating an ICT-enabled environment, young creative minds can apply themselves to building positive skills and seeking solutions to some of Nigeria's development challenges.
ICT is a very important transformational tool in all our endeavors, in all our various departments.
This is an opportunity for our youth to use their talents to come up with innovative ideas and create jobs.
There is more being done. The Nigerian Information Technology Professionals in Civil and Public Service as a body thinks it is time for Nigerians to embrace applications and information and communications technology now that the economy is edging towards a digitalization.
You train your ICT staff to make sure that for service delivery at all levels of government, the use of information technology is sacrosanct.
We are not there yet. We still want to do more.
These professionals in the ICT industry are advocating an all-inclusive awareness on the new direction of the economy and strongly hope that the public catches on. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Time to take a break on Panorama now. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Thanks for staying. A committee on the review of admissions into the nation's tertiary institutions has recommended a new framework to globalize operations at citadels of learning. Chairman of the 10-man committee on the internationalization of admissions into tertiary institutions and former chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Atahiru Jega, presented the committee's findings and recommendations to the registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, Professor Ishak Oloyede in Abuja. Olainka Ojo has that one.
Nationalization is the process of integrating international, intercultural, and global dimensions into the purpose, functions, and delivery of tertiary education. And this became necessary following current findings by the committee from 194 institutions indicating that Nigeria is low on the internationalization index. With regards to academic staff, the percentage of foreign academics in Nigerian universities is 0.008%, 1.64% in polytechnics, and 0.18% in colleges of education. Since internationalization is one of the instruments needed to ensure that the country benefits from globalization, the recommendations of the committee was eagerly awaited by the JAMB registrar.
Allow Nigerian tertiary institutions to open offshore campuses for the export of Nigerian education under a robust regulatory framework. Establish effective measures or structures to monitor and evaluate the standard and quality of education provided by foreign institutions.
JAMB Registrar Professor Isha Akoloide promised to push for the implementation of the document.
We will do everything that is necessary to make sure that Nigeria takes its rightful position in the Committee of Nations in terms of internationalization of tertiary education.
The report is expected to be forwarded to the Ministry of Education for necessary action. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
With the presentation of a book titled Drug Abuse and Trafficking by Dr. Moses Ediru, the public and relevant regulatory agencies are now well equipped with pragmatic approach towards tackling incessant cases of drug abuse and trafficking in the country, a menace that seems to have defied solutions. Kenneth Nanim reports.
Drug abuse and trafficking is said to be a double-edged societal ill, as those who abuse drugs are sick and the traffickers are criminals. Government authorities, civil society organizations, and concerned citizens have been on their toes seeking solution to the menace. Now, Dr. Moses Ediru, a lawyer and pharmacist, has compiled knowledge and experience gathered in both areas of specialty in a book to provide insights for strengthening the position of the law in the fight against the social vice.
He has talked about consumer protection, he has talked about criminal law, he has talked about administrative law.
Emir of Lafia, Justice Sidi Baghe Mohammed, believes the book is complementary to the campaign by community leaders against drug abuse and trafficking.
We have set up our local committees on how to check the excesses of how these drugs come into the community. The youth should run away, not desist, should run away from this drug abuse.
I discovered that proper understanding of the subject is necessary before we can deploy state apparatus to address the issue.
The book was also appraised as a tool for academic exercise to bridge pragmatic deficiency gap in the fight against drug abuse and trafficking in Nigeria. In Abuja, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Nigeria intensifies preparations for 2020 Para Powerlifting World Cup in Abuja. Ayodeji Makinde tells us more on Sports Update.
Ahead of the 2020 Para Powerlifting World Cup from February 4 to 7 in Abuja, the main organizing committee for the championship has called for all-round support from corporate organizations as Nigeria aims to host a global spectacle. Chairperson of the committee, Queen Obo Idris, who is also the president, Nigeria Para Powerlifting Federation, is optimistic of a hitch-free tournament.
Already lost 2 weeks, no campaign. We've not registered, and we're the hosting country. The reason we've not because of finance, because one of the benefits that comes to the countries, hosting countries, you register for free.
The Federal Ministry of Youth and Sport Development to put this athlete in camp on time so that they can replicate what they have been doing in abroad.
A one-day tennis, badminton and table tennis championship organized by the Speaker, Kogi State House of Assembly, Matthew Kolawole, ended Wednesday in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, with Samuel Timothy emerging champion in table tennis after defeating Lawrence Williams 4-1, while Moses Agbiri beat Bayo Ilori in straight sets 21-18, 21-15 for the badminton title.
I believe from next year we will put our legislative experience behind sports in Kogi State to make sure Kogi achieve his feat.
The build-up to Monday's second-round draw of the UEFA Champions League has begun following the conclusion of the group phase on Wednesday. 16 teams made up of 4 each from England and Spain, 3 each from Italy and Germany, and 2 from France are now left in the running for the 65th installment of Europe's elite club competition, which climaxes on the 30th of May 2020 at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Turkey. With sports updates, Ayodeji, Makinde NTA News.
Let's see the weather prospect for the day.